What's going on, everyone? Today we are taking a look at the Reolink Argus 3 Pro camera. This is a smart 2K battery powered camera with built-in motion sensing spotlight. Its features include smart person and vehicle detection, color night vision, battery or solar powered, two-way audio, built-in motion spotlight, and 5 GHz or 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi connection. Before we dive into anything about this camera and go through all of its features and different functions, I want to say this is one of the best cameras I have used in a while. I've used quite a few different indoor and outdoor cameras, and they all have their own little quirks and issues that I don't like. And this one has one or two different things I don't like, but overall, it's been a great performing camera. It does exactly what I wanted to do, and I gotta say, for this kind of camera, this has to be the best option on the market currently. Alright, diving into the camera itself, inside the box you get the actual camera unit. This comes in both a white color and a black color. As you see, I have the white one here. There is a permanent mounting plate that you put on the wall. I have that currently installed on my house, so I can't show you that now, but I'm pretty sure I took a picture of it, so I'll throw a picture of that as well. Beside that, you also get what looks like a stationary mount, so you would put the camera inside this, and you'll have a little base for it. So this would be good if you want to put it on top of something or use it indoors or anything like that. It's a nice little handy stand there. And then you also get this strap. So this is so if you want to mount it on a pole or a tree, you attach this to the camera and then you wrap this around the tree or pole so you can mount it that way without any screws as well. So this camera can store your videos to both the internal SD card and cloud storage. I had a 64 gigabyte SD cards, that's what I threw inside here. Very simple, a small flap at the bottom, and right here you have your on and off switch as well as the SD card slot. Coming around back, you have the charging port. Unfortunately, this is a micro USB port. I would have liked to see this with a USB-C port instead, but fortunately you are only going to be charging this once or twice a year, so it's not that big of a deal breaker. So getting started, the first thing I would recommend doing before you actually install this where you want it would be to grab it, turn it on, get the app activated and all of that, and angle this, watch the phone, but angle this where you want it, point it around, play with it, make sure you can see everything you want to see from that area. The last thing you want to do is get this mounted onto the wall somewhere and it doesn't see what you want it to see. So figure out the best mounting position first and then go ahead and mount it on your wall. Once you figure out the best position to mount this, in the box, they do include a small template, so you want to put that on the position of the wall, drill those holes, and then you just match up the base with that, put in the screws, and you're good to go. Setting up the app is fairly simple. Just download the Reolink app from the Google Play Store or iTunes Store, depending on what phone you have. Turn on the power switch where I showed you just moments before, and then once you get the app open, it's going to ask you to scan the QR code, and that'll be right here on the back of the camera. Once you get that set up, it'll show your camera on the app and you can go ahead and give it a name. On the main screen, you can view the live view. Once you click that, you can view your event history as well as toggle a few different settings, including turning on sound and being able to communicate with voice through the camera as well. As I've said earlier, this is one of the best quality cameras I have used so far. A lot of cameras on the market are 1080p. This one here is 2K, so you get a much higher and clearer resolution. Beyond that, you also have very good image quality as well in both daytime and nighttime. At night, you get a very clear black and white video when the light is off. But when something walks by and triggers it, these two LEDs here light up. And despite being two very small LEDs, these things are very bright. Where I had this camera pointed at, it lights up the whole area very easily. And once that lights up the area, you also get a nice color image as well, despite it being 2 or 3 a.m. outside and being pitch dark in real life. The first day I had this camera set up, I did get a whole bunch of false triggers. I woke up and my phone literally had like 50 notifications saying motion was detected. Fortunately, there is a function in here. There's a toggle that says reduce false alarms. Once I triggered that on, it drastically cut down how many false triggers I get. Every now and then I'll still get one or two that are caused by things moving near the camera, but that really helped it, and now it's pretty much accurate and not detecting things that it's not supposed to. Which brings me to my next great feature I like about this. As I've said, there's a small area at the side where my camera was pointed at where there's a cover on a table and it tends to flap around, and every now and then if the light hits that at the right angle, it'll trigger the camera to make it think something is there and it's moving. So there is a feature in this camera in the app that allows you to erase areas. So you just go into the app, select the area you don't want it to pay attention to, and now it will no longer be triggered by that area there. So I need to do that in the app. I've had the chance to do it, but once you erase it, pretty much it'll ignore that and you won't be getting alerts from that spot anymore. So that's my use case scenario for this feature. But if you have this camera out front of your house or something, and maybe there's a road and cars are passing and keep triggering the camera, you can go ahead in the app. You can do two things. You can set the range so it only detects closer, or if you want further range as well, you can say, okay, ignore this part of the street, and every time cars pass by that area, the camera will just disregard it and not be triggered. So very helpful feature to have, so not have your camera going crazy, alerting you every 5 minutes, because if it does that, one of my old cameras did that, and eventually I started ignoring alerts because I knew they were going to be false alerts. I'll just check it every few days because I didn't have the time to keep going in there and checking every nonsense notification that was just a video of a leaf blowing by or something. So that's a very intuitive feature that I love having on this camera. As I said earlier, this camera has both people and vehicle detection. I've had this up for about 2 weeks now, and I can confirm that it works detecting both people and vehicles very well. When I drive into the driveway, I get a notification that says vehicle alert detected, and then when I get out of the car and start walking to my door, I'll get another alert that says person alert detected. So that works very well. This camera also has two-way audio. So on default, it will only show you the video feed without audio, but you can go ahead and select the option and it'll start sending you the audio feed as well. And then there's the communication feature where you can use your voice and talk to whoever's outside your house that you may want to say something to. The latency isn't too bad. It's about a second, maybe 2 seconds at most. So if I say, hey, get out of here, literally right after I finish saying that, it'll broadcast to the camera and show my message. So it's good enough to get the job done, to communicate whoever's standing at your door and tell them what you need to tell them. The camera volume is also adjustable, and at the loudest volume, it's loud enough. And unless you plan to bump music out of this or something weird like that, you're not going to need to go much louder than that either. I initially set up this camera on my phone, but later on I set it up on my wife's phone as well, so we both get notifications. And to do that, it's fairly easy. You just open the app, make an account, sign up, and once you're in the app, you would go to settings and then click on share camera QR code. And on my phone, it'll show the QR code. And then on her phone, I just go ahead and scan it. Once to do that, it automatically adds it, and she'll be able to see this on her phone as well. Beside the camera, I also picked up their solar panel as well. This is a very helpful thing that I highly recommend to get if you pick up one of these cameras. Very simple. It has a cord at the bottom. This plugs in right back here in the charging port. When you plug it in, this has a little seal around it, and that makes a waterproof seal around the port, so you don't have to worry about getting wet or getting messed up or anything like that. I'm not sure of the wattage of this solar panel, but it is sufficient enough to maintain the battery on this camera and keep it mostly charged at all times. So regularly, you'll be losing power. You have to take this down every few months and charge it. But with the solar panel, it'll keep feeding juice into it slowly and make it drain power at a much slower rate, so you don't have to charge it as often. Another thing I love about having the solar panel is it makes the whole operation more maintenance free. So typically without the solar panel, this lasts a few months. When it's time to charge, you gotta take it off the stand, charge it. And the part that I hate the most is you gotta put it back up, position it where you want it precisely again, and get that all set up where you want it. But with the solar panel, you have to take it down much less. So maybe once or twice a year at most. So I like that a lot better because I'm really not trying to take this down and keep repositioning this every few months. So for me, that's one of the best selling features of having the solar panel with this as well. So testing the battery, the first day without solar panel, I lost 5% on the camera. However, I think a lot of that was due to all the false triggers I was receiving. Because once I turned on the reduce false triggers option, it went down to reducing about 1 to 2% a day. Once I set up the solar panel on the third day, I checked it from 8 o'clock one day to exactly 8 o'clock the next day, and I lost no percent. So on one day, it was about 93%. Checked the next day, and it was still 93%. And this wasn't a very sunny day either. It was a little bit of sun, but it is 23 degrees outside. So that also plays a factor in it losing battery, not charging as fast as well. But considering how much sun I didn't have, it was great to see that it still had enough power going through the solar panel to keep it maintained at the same battery for an entire day. Last but not least, of all cameras I've tried, this one has the most affordable cloud plan I have seen out there. Not only does it have the most affordable plans, but it also has a free plan. With the free plan, you get 7 days of video history, and it supports 1 camera and 1 gigabyte of storage. But if you want to go to a more inclusive plan, which this is the one I think most people would go with, you would go with the standard plan. This one has 30 days of cloud video history, supports 5 cameras, 30 gigabyte of storage, and rich notifications, which not only notifies you, but also shows you an image of what triggered the camera in the notifications as well. This one is $349 a month or $34.99 a year. Unlike most companies, as I said, this supports 5 cameras under the same plan. So a lot of companies, their yearly plan might be $5, $10 a year, but that only covers a single camera. So for every single camera you got to get another plan, another plan, another plan, and it keeps adding up. But this one, you just pay the one price, and that covers you up to 5 cameras. If you have more cameras than that, you can upgrade to the second plan. I don't know what the name of it was, but that covers more cameras. And then there's a third plan, which covers even more cameras as well. I also forgot to mention this camera has smart home support. So if you want to bring up the camera on your Alexa screen or Google screen, you can go ahead and ask them to bring up the camera, and they'll show you a live feed of that as well. All right, so now we covered everything I love about this camera. There's 2 small things that I don't like about this camera. Fortunately, they're both software related, so hopefully in the future they will update and fix these with firmware updates. The first one would be there's no way to delete videos from the SD card via the app. So if you want to clear out your SD card or reformat it, you got to take it out, plug it into your computer, and do it all from there. I know this has to be something simple for them to do to be able to allow you to delete and reformat your SD card, because I have a Garmin dash cam in my car and does the same thing. It stores videos onto the SD card, but except with that one, you can actually delete and format your card as well. So hopefully Reolink will come out with an update for that, so we can manage the card from inside the camera and not to remove it every time we want to do something with it. The second issue I have, and is bigger than the first, would be every time I get a notification on my phone and I click on it to connect to the camera, the first thing it will show me is connection failed. After I click it again, then finally it would go through and connect. And it's very consistent that it always fails in the first, connects in the second. So this might be a built-in feature to put the Wi-Fi to sleep and then it wakes up once you request it. Or it might be something to do with my mesh network. I run Eero routers at home, so that could be causing something. I'm not sure, but if that's an issue for other people as well, hopefully that's something they could also resolve in the firmware. I already got used to it by now, but it'll be much nicer if it just connected when I try to view the camera the first time. All right, well, that about wraps up all my first impressions of using this camera for the past few weeks. Beside those 2 issues, I love this camera. It does everything I needed to. I've used cameras before, like I said, and they've always had some issue where it made me not want to use it anymore. But this one so far has been pretty stable. Most likely, I'm going to stick with this camera and expand to other Reolink cameras around my house as well, because this is the first one that I really like. And I love the fact that it allows me to have multiple cameras under the same cloud plan. Because with others, I really didn't want to get other cameras. Having to pay another fee for each camera really unmotivated me. But for this one, I don't have to worry about that. Funny thing is, one of the reasons why I really wanted this camera is for the past few weeks, almost consistently 2 or 3 times a week, there has been a raccoon or a possum or something that keeps going in my trash can and throwing all my garbage bags around. I'll go throw out trash the next day and I'll find inside my trash can all the trash bags are ripped up and there's food and all kinds of stuff all over the floor. The garbage cans are traditional garbage cans that are maybe 4 or 5 foot tall, but somehow this raccoon or something is doing parkour and jumping inside of it, doing what it has to do, and then jumping out of it and keeping the lid closed. So I'm not sure how he's doing it or what it is, but I really wanted to catch it on camera. But I think someone tipped him and told him I was putting the cameras up, because ever since I put these cameras up, my trash has not been touched. So I don't know if he's sneaking by or he's waiting for the cameras to go off. Maybe right now when I have this camera in my hand, he's out digging in my trash. I don't know. But hopefully soon I catch him on camera so I can see finally what it is that's been messing with my trash. Alright, well that about wraps up this video. As usual, if you guys have any questions at all about this camera or its functions, drop me a comment and I will do what I can to help. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time.